Recently, we were all saddened by the news of the attempted assassination of Governor George Wallace. Even the liberals professed that they were shocked. The Kennedys went to see the governor. Mr. Humphrey went to see the governor. Even Mrs. Chisholm went to see the governor and waxed lachrymose over what we can only assume they believed to be a defeated man. He is not a defeated man. On Thursday evening, Gary Allen spent 45 minutes with Governor Wallace in Silver Spring, which is a half hour more than the governor gave to Hubert Humphrey. What are your comments, Gary?
Thank you, Scott. That sort of says it all, doesn't it? Before I discuss the question briefly, I think it's time for Alan's revenge. Last year, I mistakenly took my time to tell you about what a great editor Scott Stanley was. This year I come not to praise Stanley, but to bury him. Several weeks ago, my very good friend and bodyguard, Alan Stang, and I had a chance to compare notes out in California. You know, people have always, many times asked me, well, you say Scott Stanley works 75 or 80 hours a week. What is it he does all this time? And I knew what he was doing with me, but I didn't think he was doing it with anyone else. And so Alan and I got together and compared some notes. And actually, we found out that Scott Stanley is not so much an editor as a censor. And Alan and myself, I'm sure Scott doesn't ever want two of his authors to ever get together in the same room because they might compare notes. But we found that we are endeavoring at all times to inject as much humor as possible into American Opinion magazine. And Scott Stanley is endeavoring at all times to remove as much humor as possible. So Alan and I decided that since Winfield Scott Stanley, sometimes called Winfield the Wicked, and his assistant, Miss Prunella Clark, spent all of their time axing good lines that we submit, that we are going to collaborate together in a new book. Now, I'm sure that you've seen on the newsstands these books. It'll say the best of Playboy or the best of Mad Magazine, and I'm sure there are other publications which I don't read which do the same type of anthology. Alan and I have decided to do a book called The Best You Didn't Read in American Opinion. As Scott mentioned, I did have the very great honor of getting to spend some time with Governor Wallace 2 or 3 nights ago. I can say to you, I think probably most of you had the same experience I've had. You've seen these ghastly pictures of him in the paper, and where he looked absolutely cadaverous and extremely old. And of course, what he's been through, he's a man who's not a large man to begin with. He was a very wiry type, and he lost 24 pounds. And pictures you've seen, of course, and I've seen look terrible. He does look much better. He's starting to gain strength again. I think he's gained back 4 or 6 pounds of what he lost. At the time that I saw him, he's going through tremendous pain. And I learned from talking to a doctor yesterday that actually this is a good sign. This means that he is healing. And Dr. Chapman up here tells me that it means that the nerve endings are the first to heal, and that this is really a sign of, a good sign that he is getting ready to be able to function normally. The man has absolutely immense courage, and it had myself and the others who were in the room with us in tears talking to this guy, that he had to bear such pain. The main reason I wanted to talk to him was to try to convey to him the feelings of people around the country who believe so much in what he stands for, to try to convince him. He's had every political would-be presidential candidate has been in to see him, and I'm sure their message to him has been, don't run. And I wasn't sure if anybody had been in there delivering the opposite message. And so I tried to deliver that with as much force and conviction as I could. And I can't honestly tell you exactly what he's going to be able to do, but I have a very strong feeling that following the Miami convention, that all of his fellow Democrat candidates and Mr. Nixon are not going to get their wish. And I do believe that George Wallace will be a candidate for the President of the United States this year.